It's amazing the tendency to take something that has virtually no substance or isn't a major matter and turn it into a grave or serious thing. The Capitol insurrection was just such an event. Mr. Trump's role in that event is even more of one, and there are quite a few more that we could consider. Impeachments 1.0 and 2.0 against President Trump are excellent examples as well. Hello and welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Tuesday, the 16th of February of 2021. Welcome aboard to everybody who's coming on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. And the subject of today's little discussion is going to be mountains from molehills. So there's this problem. It's one of many, actually, but this is probably the biggest of the lot. And it is that projection, the concept, the psychological concept of projection, seems to work for a lot of folks. That is to say, not the folks necessarily who are using projection per se, but the folks that they're employing it on, the people that they're trying to get to believe what's happening. Okay, so I can give you a number of examples. There are any number of things that are happening in politics today, and those things are horrible, horrible things where people are doing things that they should not be doing. A perfect example, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but you're going to have to go to the facts and see for yourself, is what happened with Joe Biden and various things that appear to have been going on with his family, and how people basically took similar ideas and related them to what was happening with Donald Trump and his family. And here's the thing. Donald Trump has been investigated in a major kind of way. The people around him have been investigated equally so. Virtually nobody has had any charges of any serious nature leveled against them, and almost everybody who's had any problem occur as a result of their activities has been either what you would term railroaded or been found guilty of process crimes. Crimes that are things like lying to investigators, obstructing justice. And the thing about that is that those crimes should really only matter when there's an investigation that's unearthing something real and meaningful when it occurs. And if it doesn't, the idea of the process crimes are kind of silly, because basically what you're saying is I'm lying to investigators on something, and it's not even something that's substantial to the case, because really there isn't anything substantial to the case in those instances. On the other hand, looking at the Biden family, looking particularly at Hunter and at, I think it's Jim, Joe's brother, right? There are people who are making tons of money off of activities that are at very least, very, very questionable. And it appears, based on what he's worth, that Joe Biden is profiting from that behavior. You know, the thing of it is, it's been said before and I'll say it again. Donald Trump didn't make anything, hasn't made any money being president. You can say that he has all you want, but if you look at his current net worth by comparison to what his net worth was prior to going into the presidency, it becomes extremely obvious that he did not make money while he was in office. Joe Biden, on the other hand, has done that in quite an amazing way, and in ways that are impossible considering his paycheck. Whether or not Donald Trump took his check is beside the point. It's reputed that he did not. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But as far as I'm concerned, if he did, why would I care? That he didn't would just be a feather in his cap. I don't care if he gets that feather or not, and he knows whether or not he deserves that feather. Okay? But here's what I'm trying to come down to in the final analysis. By the way, you'll have to excuse my boy. He's being himself, and that means being a little bit on the noisy side somewhat, so you might hear him in the background a little bit, and that's just how that is. Anyway, here's the final thing that we're talking about, though. we've got people who are turning things that at best are minor things, and some of them are basically almost nothing at all, into gigantic mountains of concern and consideration. And then we've got other people, and this is the funny thing, it works both ways. We've got people who are taking things that really probably ought to be a pretty major concern. I don't know, Hunter sleeping with potentially Chinese spies, Joe making huge amounts of money in an office that shouldn't really do that for him. Any number of other things of that sort. And we're taking those and we're basically ignoring them. And again, what we're doing is we're saying, on the one side, it must be true because, oh, that horrible Donald Trump, he's a horrible, horrible human being. I'm not even going to go to the place that a lot of people would go with that. Ben Shapiro for a long time was fond of saying some things that I'm not going to say. The important consideration is that at this point, neither is there anything that I know of that can be found that is criminal to point to when it comes to what Donald Trump has done. But in fact, there's not even anything that's really horribly bad in terms of how improper his behavior was. And just about everywhere that I've seen people talk about it, they've said things, and the things that they've said, you scratch your head, you go, what on earth are you talking about? One perfect example is what happened in the supposed insurrection event, which, as I've said, five people died. 4 of them were definitely on the Trump side. The 5th one, we really don't know what happened to him. 3 of the 4 that died, it was apparently medical things that happened. And the 4th was shot by a Capitol Hill policeman. I think, I'm not even sure of that. And so I don't want you to take my word on it. Look it up, see for yourself. But the point was shot. And I grant you they were doing something that they weren't supposed to do. But if you look at the quote, insurrection, the first thing that you'll see is there wasn't one. What insurrection? These people didn't go in and take over the Capitol or even really try to do that. They protested something they believed had happened. Yet people are willing to make a mountain out of that molehill. And the thing about it is, if no insurrection happened, the idea of a second impeachment of President Trump, former President Trump, on the basis of what happened there is yet more ridiculous, because not only is he not guilty of the things that he was supposed to have done, as has been proven as far as I understand it by acquittal on a second impeachment, but in fact, really nothing happened. So the idea that he did anything in the first place is kind of a head scratcher. It kind of makes you wonder what on earth people are even talking about. And this is one example of a mountain having been made out of a molehill. And there's so many more, right? You can do this all day. You can find examples of where people were tossed out of their job because they said something that wasn't intended to be what other people said that it was supposed to be. So cancel culture, right? This individual who was killed from The Mandalorian. And let me just tell you something. I don't like Disney, even though I have it in my home. I don't like it. And I could tell you why I have it, and that's another story and a long one. Not super long, but not short enough for this video. I don't care about Star Wars. I haven't cared about it for a long time. I saw the original in the theaters, okay? I haven't cared about Star Wars for a very, very long time. Yet this individual who is canned from The Mandalorian for something that, as far as I can tell, was not at all problematic, and for people to be making noise about it was ridiculous. Okay? More importantly, as I've said before, I'll say again, when people speak their mind, you know where they are. Okay? All of this having been said, my main point today is we need to stop letting people use us as pawns in their process of making mountains out of molehills and molehills out of mountains. We need to stop allowing that. We need to start really looking at what's going on and stop assuming that the mainstream media is going to give us everything that we need to know and that we know tomorrow or even today for something that happened today. It's not something you can do. You can't say this is, we know about something today that happened today. It may take a month. It may take a couple of months. It may take longer to figure out everything that happened. All right, I'm about out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and call it good for the day. Today is Tuesday, the 6th of February of 2021. As I've said, that means tomorrow will be Wednesday, the 17th of February of 2021. I'm glad to have had everybody along today. I'm glad you stayed through my little rant. And I would appreciate it if on YouTube, if you happen to see me there, you like what you see. If you do, obviously, if you don't, you don't click the like. And I would appreciate it if on Rumble you gave me a rumble if you like what you see there. Hopefully you're doing well today. It's cold here, slowly starting to warm up. We've still got more snow on the ground than we're used to in this part of the country. I imagine other people are suffering from some of that as well. I've heard some other stories. In fact, I'm going to get into one of them tomorrow, I think, the way things are going, because I think it's important to talk about it. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and finish up my little video, wrap up my little video now, and hopefully you will have a good day, or have even had a good day, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Tuesday, the 16th of February, 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.